Welcome to the Mars Timeline channel. The purpose of this channel is to discuss topics and scenarios around human Mars exploration and setting up a self-sustaining colony on Mars. Before we get started, a few disclaimers. For one, I am not a rocket scientist. The purpose of this video and subsequent videos on this channel is to have an open discussion on various scenarios as we prepare to land humans on Mars. While making content for this channel, I'm going to have to rely on assumptions, since there are no firm plans for Mars that I am aware of. In this video, we will be discussing the vehicle that will transport humans to Mars. Since Starship is the only vehicle that I am aware of that is constructed for deep space missions, Starship will be used for these scenarios. And please use the comment section below to further discuss items being discussed in this video. I will be actively responding to comments. Okay, so there are a number of technical challenges that must be overcome before SpaceX's Starship spacecraft can land on Mars. The first challenge is to develop a heat shield that can withstand the extreme temperatures during entry, descent, and landing on Mars. Starship is a beautiful design, a balance between simplicity and complexity. The hexagonal tiles are made of a material called silicon carbide, which is able to withstand extremely high temperatures. They are designed to protect the ship during re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere when temperatures can reach up to 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. The tiles act as insulation, preventing the heat from penetrating the interior of the ship and damaging the structure and equipment inside. But most importantly, the tiles are replaceable, so if any become damaged, they can be easily replaced without affecting the integrity of the entire ship. During testing of the SpaceX prototype, some of the heat tiles have been observed to fall off. This could be due to a number of factors, including issues with the adhesives used to attach the tiles to the ship, or problems with the manufacturing process of the tiles themselves. Just in case there are issues with the tiles, SpaceX more than likely will transport replacement tiles to Mars for repairs to the ship on the Martian surface. The next challenge SpaceX will need to overcome is mastering the docking of starships for orbital refueling and for loading the vehicle with cargo. SpaceX will need to ensure that the two spacecraft are properly aligned and in the correct position for docking to take place. They will also need to make sure that the spacecraft's guidance, navigation, and control systems are functioning properly and able to accurately direct the spacecraft during the docking maneuver. They will need to develop and implement a system for transferring fuel between the two spacecraft. They will also need to develop and test a robotic arm that can be used to connect the two spacecraft during the docking process. The Mars payload spacecraft and the Starship tanker spacecraft will need to be able to communicate with each other and with ground control during the docking process, so that all relevant data can be transmitted and received properly. SpaceX engineers will need to develop and test procedures for handling any emergency situations that may arise during the docking process. And they must understand and compensate for the effects of gravity and other forces on the spacecraft during the docking process. The next challenge is to develop a landing gear system that can support the weight of the spacecraft and allow it to land on the uneven terrain of Mars. The landing legs would need to be strong enough to support the weight of the spacecraft while also being lightweight enough to not add unnecessary mass to the vehicle. The landing legs would need to be able to adjust and adapt to the uneven terrain of Mars and also be able to move the spacecraft on the surface once landed. The landing legs would need to be able to deploy quickly and reliably after the spacecraft reaches the Martian surface. SpaceX will need to make sure that the landing legs are reliable and can be maintained or repaired on Mars if needed. The next challenge, SpaceX will need to develop a system for protecting the spacecraft and its crew from the harsh radiation of a long-duration voyage. They will have to find materials that can effectively shield them against galactic cosmic rays and solar particle events, while also being lightweight and durable enough for use in space. They will need to balance the need for sufficient shielding against the need to keep the shelter as small and light as possible in order to minimize the impact of the spacecraft's overall weight and size. They will need to ensure that the shelter is safe and comfortable for astronauts to live and work for extended periods of time. Engineers will need to integrate life support systems such as air, water, and waste management into the shelter's design. They will also need to develop a system for monitoring the radiation levels inside and outside of the shelter and for alerting the crew to any potential hazards. Well, those are some of the potential challenges that SpaceX and the Starship program could encounter in preparing for the journey to Mars. There are launch windows to Mars, approximately every 2 years. The next windows are in 2024, 2026, 2029, 2031, 2033, 2035, 2037, 2039, and 2041. Leave a comment down below on which window you think Starship will be ready for Mars, cargo, and human landing missions. Well, that's it for this week's video. If you like this kind of content, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Since this channel is brand new, any feedback on the channel will be appreciated in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Mars.